This is Lake Nassar. Came to be as a result of building the Aswan Dam. Day 9, 7 a.m. wake-up call, breakfast at 7:30, bus departure at 9. It was a 3.5-hour drive to Abu Simbel, including a quick pit stop to uncross the legs. This is a site of 2 temples dated to the reign of Ramses II. The date I see most often is 1244 BCE. Both were carved directly into the sandstone mountainside. They were rediscovered in 1813 by Johann Ludwig Burckhardt and explored in 1817 by Giovanni Belzoni. As with Philae, these 2 temples were chosen to be preserved prior to the completion of the Aswan Dam in the 1960s. They were dismantled and relocated to the desert plateau 200 feet above and 600 feet west of their original location. After cutting them into manageable chunks, they were repositioned with cranes. The temples were then reassembled into what we see today within a fake mountain and cliff face. It took close to 5 years, involved about 3,000 workers, and cost around $42 million. Calculate for inflation, and that would be close to $368 million in the year 2020. The larger temple is known as the Great Temple of Ramses II. It's dedicated to Amun and Ra-Harakte. It was purposely reassembled as found, which is why the second statue from the left is in several pieces on the ground. The colossi are 66 feet in height, and we are told that they are all sculptures of Ramses II. They look different to me. Are they Ramses within different points in his reign? These are clearly 2 different faces. The smaller figures around his legs are said to represent the queen, his children, and his mother. The walls are covered in low-relief carvings, including this one depicting Nubian captives. The guide made a point of telling me it's not common for Egyptian men to have earrings. I have 7, but I'm not Egyptian. I believe this is a carving of Ra. Across the top of the front facade are carved baboons, just letting it all hang out. And then of course a shot of the flooring as we enter the temple. The first hall has 8 pillars of the Osiris style. And comparing them to the size of people, I'd say they're at least 16 feet tall. Every flat surface is covered in low relief. The king smiting his enemies, looks like Ra approves, and depictions of horse-drawn carriages. It also contains a stela. I have no idea what it says. Extending from this hall to each side are multiple magazines. Most have a perimeter ledge, and one has 2 walls full of carved niches. Their shape and finish is rather crude compared to the rest of the temple, which seems odd considering the usual methodical layout and proportions. The second hall has 4 square pillars, and again every surface is covered in low relief. The deepest room is the sanctuary, which has a shrine comprised of 4 statues: Ptah, Amun, Ra-Harakte, and the deified Ramses. On 2 days of the year, around February 22nd and October 22nd, the first rays of the morning sun penetrate the whole length of the temple and illuminate the shrine in this innermost sanctuary. However, Ptah is always left in shadow. The temples at Abu Simbel. Probably hard to see with the sun blazing in the lens. Next we have the smaller temple of Hathor and Nefertari. We're told the facade contains 4 statues of Ramses and 2 of Nefertari. The male statues are depicted with 4 different crowns and reduce in size from left to right. We have the crown of Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt, the double crown, and the headdress of Amun-Ra, 2 plumes and a sun disk. Nefertari is shown with Hathor's cow horns and the sun disk in between. I'm curious if there's a meaning behind the different heights of Ramses, or if they're just scaled to fit the recesses. The first hall has 6 square pillars featuring high relief carvings of Hathor. All other inscriptions are in low relief. 3 doorways pass into what I've seen labeled as an antechamber, and it has 2 small side chambers or annexes. The doorway for the sanctuary has the common cove and bead detail. Inside we see what appears to be a false door, Hathor columns on each side, and a worse-for-wear statue in the center. I find it interesting that the ceiling blocks are set on a bias, and then this recess for a sliding door lock. It's worth mentioning that this site requires a photo pass, and it is enforced. At this point in the trip, I have temple fatigue. My primary fascination with Egypt is the pyramids and other megalithic sites, so I spent the 3.5-hour return bus trip reading Petrie's research on the Great Pyramid. Tonight is our last night on the ship, and tomorrow is our last day seeing sites within Aswan. This is an ancient Egyptian trash can.